wonderful lobby. I worked with Don on a bill with Senator Ring a couple of years ago for the community associations, and because of the bankers, it wasn't heard. But I can't emphasize enough the strength of grassroots organizations like this. If you guys get together and you participate in the fly-ins, and you meet with legislators over the summer when they're home, or with their aides locally when you can't get your legislators here, that makes a world of difference. When you contact your legislator directly and you take the time to go into his or her office and meet with them, it can move mountains. And I've had that experience where I thought my bill was going to fail, but because of grassroots efforts from groups like this, bills miraculously made it. So I encourage the efforts of this group and would tell you that nothing is impossible.
I have a question, and this is it's interesting because this is what CAN is about, and that's about education. So I'd like to address this to Representative Moraitis, please. And the question from the floor is, since the regulations of condo documents are so complicated, and knowing that most board members either may not read them or don't understand them, should it be mandatory for all boards, both condo and HOA, to obtain the necessary education certification?
Yeah, that's a good question, but there already are requirements for them to review the rules and the bylaws and things like that. So that's already in the statute that, as part of being a director, you have to certify that you've reviewed the law. Again, obviously there's a place for attorneys to help interpret the declarations, particularly given some of the complicated insurance provisions. I think the system works. It's, again, just like any democratic process, it does depend upon sort of the people being involved and their leadership being engaged. And this is no different. You can have good leadership, you can have bad leadership, and you can have an involved group and an uninvolved group. And I think that this issue that you're pointing out in the question really goes to that: is how involved are the people that are running it, and how responsible are they, and are they following their own law? So I would say that the existing statutory framework encourages that, but ultimately it falls on us, to follow the rules and obey them.
Yes, Representative Stan. I'm sorry, Representative Park Reed. No?
It's okay. Just to follow up on that, I think it's very, very important because I've heard some stories that you think that people made up about folks on these boards and who didn't live in the condo, who were operating from outside somewhere and really weren't in touch with the folks who absolutely lived there. So it's very, very important that the board be educated, that the board be representative of the people who live in the facility, in the condo, and that they have mechanisms for appeal of certain things that happen within the condo association. I also feel that everybody, this is just my opinion, should be bonded who serve on these boards. Thank you.
I have a quick question. Show of hands, how many homeowners association representatives do we have here today? Okay, as you know, in a condominium, to serve on the board, a director has to either certify that they've read and understand the governing documents and agree to uphold them, or that they've attended a course. That's not the case for homeowners associations. Would you like to see that in homeowners associations as well? Yes. Yes, you would. Okay. So that's something you need to think about. And also...
George just volunteered, everyone.
That's George's first bill.
We'll talk later. But of course, right now, there's no requirement. Some people think there's a mandatory education requirement in condominiums. You know that's not the case. They have a choice. They can either sign the slip of paper or they can attend the course or do both. Obviously, we encourage folks, and we've got a lot of homeowners association directors that come out to our courses. Does anyone think that there's any director signing that slip saying they've read everything and they haven't?
Yeah, but we have to understand that before the law was enacted about signing or not signing or taking a class, there was no requirement whatsoever. So you take a small bite, you get something put up there, it's not perfect, but there is the complaint from a lot of association board members we hear from, the ones who take the classes and take the education and say, look, the people who just go ahead and put their name and sign that they've read those documents don't really care about the requirement. They just want to get on the board and they sign whatever you put in front of them. They don't take it seriously. So the ones that do get the education feel that that's law, even though it's available, is something that isn't really utilized the way it was intended to be utilized.
And education is the absolute key to everything, because when I first came on board, one of the things I found out that there was such a lack of knowledge, not only on the board, but the actual people living in condo association, and they were being told all kinds of things that were basically inaccurate. But because the people who were telling it to them had such authority, they took it as gospel, and it wasn't. So one of the first things I did is I worked with the folks at Broward Community College at that time to put out a videotape program and an education course for condos, and I worked with Bill Rappan, and later it became what's out there today. But and by the way, while I'm doing this, can I just say something about Bill Rappan? I worked with him, and I just want you to know, I never worked with someone who had such heart and such good feelings and was totally committed to the people living in condos and worked so hard and so diligently for them with absolutely no support and no money, and he did it all on his own. Bill, it's been a pleasure.
Two more questions. Okay, we have a lot of questions, and I want everybody to understand the questions we have, we're not going to discard them if we can't ask them. We will make a summary of these questions or a summary of the comments. We'll consider all these positions that everybody's asked for to be addressed. A question I have in my hand is currently Florida statutes allows a minimum charge of $100 per applicant when purchasing a condo unit. After the actual cost of processing a credit report exceeds this $100 minimum fee, could it be proposed that this fee be increased, as this fee of $100 has not been raised for several years? Who wants to take it? Ari? Representative Kaur? I'm getting too casual with you, I see.
To answer the question, could the fee be increased? The answer is yes. If somebody wants to give up one of their 6 bill slots, and I would recommend that that perhaps George will get right on that.
Let George do it.
Now you know why there's only one condo bill every year. What is it?
I think you need to change the Mikey. You want to get the Mikey to try it?
This is regarding South Florida and the upcoming storm season. Are there any plans to address insurance payments or timeliness of insurance payments? Some of the associations have experienced some delays in payment. So on the other side, from our client's perspective, many of the claims have not been timely paid. Is there anything that the legislature could do to ensure that accurate claims are paid on a timely manner? And I'll address this to Representative Hudson.
To be honest with you, kind of like what Representative Porsche said, anything can be addressed, yes. I don't purport to be an insurance expert to give you the timeline that might or might not be in statute now, but you could certainly try and refine that. I think there's certainly glaring examples where timeliness has been a huge problem. Then you have other folks that are good players in the industry, and you have to be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater type of approach too. So yes, it could be addressed, but that's something that certainly I would be more interested in learning more about in terms of what the current rules are. I'll be honest and just tell you I don't know them, so I would like to know more about that.
Thank you, Representative Hudson.
Lee, I just wanted to mention that one of the things that we're able to do as members of the legislature is contact the CFO's office on your behalf. So if you feel that you're not being treated fairly in your claim by your insurance company, there's a legislative affairs person at each of the state agencies, whether it's the Office of Insurance Regulation or any number of agencies. We can contact, or our aides can contact that office on your behalf, and we do it regularly, and we're glad to continue doing it. So please use us as a resource.
As far as hurricane preparedness, and that's what we're facing right now from June to November, that's the